If you're not paying for the product, then you are the product.
But you are being programmed.
How does WhatsApp make money? The story behind how WhatsApp makes money is really fascinating. Before we move into any reasons, let's travel back in time. I would say 2009 accurately. Imagine it's 2009 again. We are living through the year and the world is evolving, especially with the brand new concept of smartphones. iPhone has literally amazed the world with the portrayal of a completely new concept, and at the same time, Facebook was also evolving. This is when a guy named Brian Acton applied for a job at Facebook, well, for very obvious reasons because Facebook was gaining popularity. However, Brian was turned down by the company, so he continued his passion and aimed for something even more adventurous in the future. Brian and his friend named John Coombe came up with a great smartphone idea, and it was precisely their own creativity. Any guesses? It was none other than WhatsApp. In case if you don't know, WhatsApp was designed for people to interact just by updating their status. However, as soon as the founders introduced the private messaging feature in the app, people loved it and started to use it for messaging each other. In no time, the app gained popularity. It spread like fire among the potential target market. It was a high time for innovation. People could easily switch to text-based messaging rather than using any other texting app. And previously, the texting apps were expensive. So, WhatsApp broke all the records by creating a hassle-free way for people to chat or connect at any time. And, above all, WhatsApp was offering the global messaging service for free. It was the right way to get a boost and spotlight. Let's skip to 2010. First of all, some of you might know that global applications or free application services, they make money in a few ways. The three major ways of making money through free apps include selling the data, advertising, and in-app purchases. However, the founders of WhatsApp hated ads, just like many of us. This was the very true reason for their resignation from Yahoo, mainly disagreements and the emphasis on extensive advertising. According to them, the part of advertising and making money out of it wasn't the right option for the WhatsApp founders. At the same time, the founders didn't want to charge any amount of fee for the WhatsApp users, although it was the main reason why people shifted towards using WhatsApp for messaging. So, how did they make any money out of it? The WhatsApp founders were hardworking enough to make constant changes and prioritizing their products for better usage. This is why making money out of in-app purchases, advertising, and selling data was a big no. It was easy for them to go out of revenue for some time, but not for long. How can a company survive without any revenue?
Well, this is fucked.
They continued working through getting seed fundings and donations. They made strategies for making their operations cost-effective and eventually saving money in every possible way. They opted for cheap IKEA tables and necessary office equipment. You might have thought that a startup like WhatsApp might have been doing well since the beginning, or maybe a perception that it was generating millions of profit. However, it was doing the complete opposite in its initial stages. In one of the interviews, John Coombe, the co-founder of WhatsApp, mentioned that,
"But we were still trying to be really conservative and frugal with the money we had. So,
with time, more and more people started using the instant messaging app with other value-added features. By that time, WhatsApp needed extra money to operate, hire people, and manage its servers. For investing the money required, the app introduced almost a $1 fee in some countries, and this fee was mandatory for the users. However, in some countries, WhatsApp was free for a year, after which the user would pay $1. The perfect thing about this process was that the users weren't forced to pay the fee. You would be amazed to know the fee wasn't just like a donation. This might sound a little bizarre or crazy, but it worked really well. The founders were quite sure about prioritizing the users and retaining them rather than charging a high fee and losing their potential users. The company was efficient enough at not keeping their customers on hold or probably alienated. However, the fee that they charged wasn't really making the company create high profits. It was fulfilling their costs. On the other hand, making millions of profits was not a matter of concern for the founders. They just wanted to produce a quality product for people. Tech companies are the ones that rely on unique and different models. Sometimes tech-based companies can be worth $1 million, but they might not be able to earn $1 million profit. If you have a large customer segment and loyal customers with a great number, then investors are going to really show interest in your business. Something similar happened with WhatsApp. They weren't really profitable, but they had a vast customer segment. Additionally, the users of this app were increasing on a daily basis, which attracted the investors. One of the co-founders mentioned that an investor reached out to them saying,
"You guys are doing great. We want to partner with you. We want to give you money." And we're like, we don't really need it, which makes them want to invest even more.
Initially, the founders of the app were hesitant to partner with investors. Their major concern was quality and monetization. They didn't want to compromise on the quality of the product, and nor did they want to go through heavy monetization. WhatsApp was eventually growing way more than anyone's expectations, and this is why the company like Sequoia offered millions and promised to agree to the founders' terms. WhatsApp aimed that the investors should not interfere in any matters majorly. Fortunately, the company agreed because WhatsApp was a potential boom at the time. Another surprising fact about this business was that they used a strategy to make the operations work through investments. They didn't withdraw money from investments, the founders invested all the money in their company, and they just wanted to produce the best to increase their customer segment. This process worked out great for them. From the customer's point of view, it was great. No ads, no hassle, no paid features. Just an easy way to connect with friends and family. Overall, the business model of WhatsApp looks quite profitable, and it is for sure until it's sold for a huge paycheck.
As you heard, Facebook has bought the mobile messaging service WhatsApp for $19 billion in cash and stock.
It was concerning, and some people were very confused about the big deal. The confusion was even more prominent because an app like WhatsApp wasn't producing enough revenue.
But $19 billion, come on, is it really worth it?
Why would a company like Facebook buy it for such a huge amount? What was the idea behind the acquisition?
Facebook's next trick is to turn WhatsApp into a real business. The messaging service makes practically no money now, but Mark Zuckerberg has plans to change that.
And then there's the strategic value and what we can do together. And I actually just think that by itself, it's worth more than $19 billion. I mean, it's hard to exactly make that case today because they have so little revenue compared to that number. But I mean, the reality is there are very few services that reach 1 billion people in the world. They're all incredibly valuable, much more valuable than that.
The converging of powers was probably a great way to speed up development for the two organizations. Facebook bought its competitor, and it makes a lot of sense. Similar features, similar instant messaging and service, this is what was common in both the apps. However, Mark had different plans to turn the tables and make WhatsApp something different. The major aspect of this acquisition was also related to the large segment of customers. No other app had billions of users at that time. In one of the interviews, he even mentioned that WhatsApp was much more valuable after he purchased it rather than the previous years. After this acquisition, users were concerned about their privacy because they knew that Facebook was prominent for collecting user data and that it would be the same with WhatsApp. Facebook already had certain cases regarding the privacy issues and no consent of users for using their data. One of the most famous cases was the Cambridge Analytica scandal, which raised a lot of questions against Facebook's founder. Mark's chat with his friend was also leaked, which showed the reality of data and no consent. He mentioned that he had data of over 4,000 people, their emails, and their pictures, but he further mentioned that users trusted him and submitted their data through Facebook. Since then, the platform got involved in various scandals, security concerns, and issues. Mark had to apologize publicly.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry. And that was a mistake, and I'm sorry for it.
And he even asked the WhatsApp founders to operate the app individually and made sure there was no pressure on monetization or data collection. So, what was the future holding for both of the apps? In the year 2016, on one of the blog spots, WhatsApp mentioned that they were no longer charging any subscription fees, which meant that the $1 fee was ending completely. This news went completely viral. Many people had the perception that Facebook was okay with the idea of making a huge loss on WhatsApp and choosing not to monetize it at all. Sounds perfect. But if we look closely at the reality, the truth was pretty clear. First of all, Facebook was sort of buying the users and collecting their data. If you remember the video mentioned earlier about selling the user data, which WhatsApp founders refused, but after its acquisition, it was implemented prominently. One of the sources pointed out that Facebook was in the surveillance business and probably one of the biggest stakeout companies in historical advancements. WhatsApp was providing behavioral data along with contact lists and several forms of data regarding personal information. Some users even argued that WhatsApp was probably a missing link for Facebook because it gave the company an easy and efficient way to access phone numbers. The bridge between offline and online users from both the platforms was available in just one click. The more they can sell and provide to other companies for personalized ads. That is why removing the fee from the app makes it easy for the company to retain customers, because something free is what attracts the users for sure. This leads to a profitable outcome, good word of mouth, and widespread expansion without much effort. Moreover, the acquisition of WhatsApp also helped Facebook get over any competition, and they wanted to create a monopoly. An interesting incident that revolves around these lines is about Mark Zuckerberg's quick decision-making when he had heard that the founders of WhatsApp were invited to Google's Mountain View headquarters for a conversation or meeting. Without wasting any time, Mark rushed to make an offer to the founders and own the company that was giving him a potential competition. If you analyze closely, Facebook has had a pattern of this strategy to win its competition. To ensure a check and balance plus control of it, Facebook is a great case study to examine the poor practices of monopoly and data monetization. These two things are used for spying purposes and analyzing the potential customers, additionally removing any sort of rivals that might enter the market. Such strategies and smart tactics have reinforced Facebook to create a dominant aspect of its business in the market, which they use easily for getting rid of all of their rivals. Facebook's business model makes it nearly impossible for new companies to evolve.
Facebook is a case study, in my opinion, in monopoly power, because your company harvests and monetizes our data, and then your company uses that data to spy on competitors and to copy, acquire, and kill rivals. You've used Facebook's power to threaten smaller competitors and to ensure that you always get your way. These tactics reinforce Facebook's dominance, which you then use in increasingly destructive ways. So Facebook's very model makes it impossible for new companies to flourish separately, and that harms our democracy.
However, it's still evident that WhatsApp is not making any great deal of profit right now, but because it's acquired by Facebook, there is no need to monetize immediately or rush into it. The only thing that matters to the company is the collection of accurate data. With this huge market size, Facebook is prone to find a way to eventually get some cash out of WhatsApp, but wait, don't worry. Mark Zuckerberg specifically mentioned that WhatsApp would be an independent app, right? In 2017, the WhatsApp founder Brian quit, majorly because of a conflict with Mark Zuckerberg regarding the idea of WhatsApp monetization and further plans that involved sharing WhatsApp user data with Facebook. If you remember, the founders of WhatsApp were always against the idea of using the customer's data without their consent. By leaving the company, Brian lost an estimated amount of $850 million. After leaving the company, Brian became very outspoken and vocal about the concerns that he had with Facebook. He even tweeted on Twitter regarding his concerns. One of his tweets mentioned, "It's time to delete Facebook." Right after this, he invested a huge amount of $50 million from his own money into a rival. It was a similar instant messaging app named as Signal. It was a non-profit foundation. Additionally, it prioritized security along with privacy.
I am the David going against the Goliath that I created. I want to build a delightful product that protects people's privacy.
Something bad could happen. But I think the way we defined it was not like this. It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
Facebook, according to all these articles, is looking at putting an on-device AI algorithm into WhatsApp to scan and moderate content for the entire platform, basically so that they can enforce their acceptable use policy. Now, if this is implemented, and we're going to get to that because I think it's already there, the app itself would automatically scan messages prior to them being encrypted and sent. Do not assume that WhatsApp is secure, because quite frankly, none of Facebook is.
The question remains the same. How exactly does WhatsApp make money? Starting from free to a $1 fee, and then going back to a free model. After owning the WhatsApp, how is Facebook making money out of it? In present times, it's simply through collecting and sharing the personal data of users. It's as simple as that. Whether it's apps like Uber, Netflix, or any other platform, users' data is shared to initiate sales and provide a personalized list of ads. It's easier for companies to maintain and use data analytics. However, it's astonishing, but nothing unexpected, because WhatsApp has already confirmed that they are planning to further monetize the app by formulating ads in the status section. Even if WhatsApp stops data collection, Facebook will always remain in a deep pocket of data collection. Moreover, WhatsApp has made headlines in 2021 because of privacy concerns and data collection. People started posting negative reviews regarding WhatsApp when it was revealed that users' data was collected, but it was never a hidden thing. What's arguably the worst aspect is that the privacy update wasn't related to a change to their privacy policy. The new rules were just publicly announced to create awareness on their part. There was an outspread of different comments on social media. One of the people summarized mentioning that by the time WhatsApp was acquired by Facebook, practically everyone in my circle was using it for everything, even work stuff. So it's deeply embedded into people's lives that you have to essentially pick between keeping your privacy or keeping in touch with the people around you. Let's talk about the reality. There was an uproar and attack on WhatsApp and Facebook, but to be very honest, that's not something very new. Almost every other company is collecting user data and analyzing it. However, Facebook was the only one that was pointed out in its initial stages. Even Google does the same thing as many others. The truth is that WhatsApp is a very convenient service. It's a perfect app to catch up with friends and family members. For something very convenient, you need to pay for something, and in this case, it's your data. If you use the internet, you know the fact that your personal data is being collected. For many people, it's a trade-off, but it is what it is. There are many rivals in the market currently.
We're not here to destroy WhatsApp tomorrow. We're here to help people understand that there's alternatives. Okay. And that if your privacy matters to you and it's important to you, that you should seek alternatives. WhatsApp
itself is at the stage of new features and innovation. Let's see what the future holds for this instant messaging app. Well, which app do you like to use for connecting with your loved ones? What are your thoughts on this video? Just jot them down in the comment section. We have reached the end of this video, so make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and share it with your circle, because such information is not to be missed. Catch you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching.